We sat on my bed, talking and laughing, being happy and reminiscing. He smiled when he brought up the first time we met. I didn't expect to come this far at the time. I didn't even expect to be friends with him. But we've been friends for 7 years. It was hilarious when we met. I always stayed quiet, but I was just sick of those asses. They picked on me, and I guess when they picked on you, I snapped. I said as I leaned on Yuri. I was just a 7-year-old who didn't think. 2 huge 5th graders picking on you, and I walked over when they were calling you a girl and a bully. I walked up to them with my hands on my hips and I said, "You guys are the girls because you're both bitches, and the next time you pick on someone, it'll be the end of a cat fight." I grabbed your arm and strutted off. I said with a smile that stretched across my whole face. "You never were one to take bullshit for too long," Yuri said while laughing, and his hair fell over his green eyes. "Kind of. I just took most of it, but when it really bothered me, I blew up," I said, falling back on the bed as my voice became softer and sadder. I grabbed Yuri's hand and he laid down with me. "What's wrong, Ryan?" he said with concern and worry as his gaze locked with mine. "I'm gonna miss you so much when you leave. I know I'll have to go on as normal, but I don't know what I'll do," I said as the glimmer in my eyes faded away. He hugged me and held me tight. "Eventually, we'll have to separate sooner or later, but right now, I'm glad to be with you," he said as I nodded. "We'll always be friends, right? Promise," he said with a serious look in his eyes. "Alright, let's go to sleep after watching our favorite movie," I said while smiling, getting up to get the DVD that was scratched from being used too often. "I'm lucky your parents let me, a 14-year-old boy, sleep over, but I think I'll be pushing it by making popcorn at..." He turned on his phone and looked down at the screen. 12:47 a.m., he said with a smirk. "How do we always manage to plan to go to sleep at 11, but always stay up much later?" I said while quietly laughing. "I don't know," Yuri said, laughing with shining eyes as I put the DVD in. "Let's just watch the movie and go to sleep, okay?" "Popcorn?" he asked with an adorable pleading smile. "When you make that face, I can't resist, but be quiet," I said as he hugged me. "Thanks," he said, skipping along like a little kid since popcorn was always one of his favorite foods that he rarely had. "Be quiet, dork. With your skipping, you're shaking the whole house, asshole. So that's why they call you a punk," I said, smiling. The next day I was heartbroken. He held me for 10 minutes while I was crying, and he was trying to fight back tears. He told me he had to leave the day to pursue figure skating. We stayed in my room for 2 more hours before he went to see his grandpa, and we drove him to the airport. We promised to stay in contact, and we did for a while. Despite the close friends we were, long distance and different time schedules made it so damn hard. We lacked in texting, with responses taking up to a week, and then it just eventually stopped. It stopped a year ago, to be precise, and ever since I've had to move on, and it's been hard. I fell into depression for a couple of weeks, but nothing too serious. I got my life back together and made some new friends, and now I'm just living my life like it never happened. Even though I act like it never happened, we sometimes texted once in a while, but I always was there to support by giving him kind words and watching his competitions, cheering him on from my couch. And then he had a competition here, and I knew it would be great to see him, but it would break my heart. "Hey Wayne, get up," my best friend Aiko spoke as she shook me awake. "I feel like I'm forgetting something," I said groggily while rubbing my temples. "How could you forget? I got us to buy tickets to see Yuri," she said with a wide smile. I sprung up and instantly regretted it. When I jumped out of bed and tripped over my shoes I left out last night so we could leave as soon as possible. I quickly rebounded, stood up, and walked over to my closet, choosing my outfit for the day. We spent 3 hours on the road before arriving to the large figure skating arena. I go, "Look at this place. It's amazing," she said, her mouth twisting into a smile that resembled one of a cat. She clapped her hands together and squealed as I took our picture in front of the arena. I shoved the phone in her face as she ran away with it. "I don't know what you could possibly be doing with that photo. You need to run away, but come back," I shouted, waving my hands around with a red face. I ran toward her, arms outstretched in an attempt to grab my phone. She suddenly halted as she clicked a button and walked toward me. "I just wanted to post a picture of me online, but you're quite selfish sometimes, so I figured you wouldn't let me," she said with dismissal. I looked at my account and saw a new picture with a caption, "Finally here, ready to support Yuri Plitskety for his big day." "You were one to tell me not to get my hopes up, because even if he's here, he most likely won't see us, and if he does, he might not even remember me," I said with a sigh. "Look, I just don't want to see you get hurt, and we're not here for him. What we're here for is to have a crap ton of fun," she said, punching the air. I smiled and ran up to her, tackling her with a hug. I held onto her wrist as I whisked her toward the stadium. "You take my phone and capture an amazing picture of me in front of the building," I said, pointing at her dramatically as my serious face faltered into an onslaught of laughter. I made a peace sign with my hand and shut my eyes, putting on a smile as I heard her whistle signal she was done with the photo. She handed me my phone and grabbed my hand, quickly taking me to the stadium. "Hey, slow down a bit. You're the fastest person I know and I can't keep up," I said, catching my breath. "The perks of having stamina and practicing track," she said, pointing a finger in a matter-of-fact way. "Just get your ass moving or we're going to be late," she said as we scrambled to our seats. I sat down as she put our tickets in her purse and the lights dimmed. The competitors started talking, and though all the skaters were beautiful and graceful, I was here for Yuri. I knew that he would break me one day, but I would always be there for him. Then the lights dimmed into blue and quickly turned into a strong red. It told of different emotions and how quick hatred and anger were, and I knew who it was. Yuri Plitskety. At first, the story started off strong with passion, hatred, desire. It was of a man who wanted something, and he waited it for so long, and yet now he came close. That gave him empowerment. He was powerful and angry, waiting and waiting. His patience was gone, and now that he had the power, he wanted what he couldn't have. He reached for it, yet it slipped away and it became angrier. He eventually became so angry that his rage disappeared, and he was now calm. He finally reached full wisdom, tranquility, and knowledge due to the trial he just faced. Then when he reached out, full potential, the lights faded black, and he moved on to another life. I stared at him with my mouth parted, and when he took his final pose of his miraculous performance, I stood up and screamed at the top of my lungs. "You go, Yuri!" I screamed as all attention reverted to me, and his eyes locked with mine in a state of shock as a tear slipped down his face. He hurriedly skated off the ice as I sat down, my friend dying of laughter next to me. I've heard Yuri's angels are crazy, but you give them a new definition," she said in her fit of laughter as I joined. "People are starting to leave. Let's go have fun," I said, anxious to get out of my seat and go explore. I saw Yuri exit the building, followed by guards and his coach. As I decided there's no time like the present. "What's up, Yuri? long time no see, I said as he looked back and his eyes widened. He walked up to me and wrapped his arms around me softly as I stood in shock of his reaction. Though I hoped he'd notice me, I didn't expect it. I'm sorry, he said, and I knew he meant that we lost touch, and he probably blamed it on himself. He was always hard on himself and never forgave himself. Don't worry, Yuri, it's fine, I said cheerfully. He let go and held my shoulders. I'm making this up to you one way or another. I knew he wouldn't stop until I gave in. Alright then, what are you gonna do? I asked quizzingly as I saw his face of thought take over. First, I need your phone number. I got a new phone, so that's why I haven't texted you recently, he said, his eyes averting from mine. Alright, but make it quick, because people are starting to leave, and for your sake, I think you should leave as soon as you can, I said as we swapped phones and exchanged numbers. Promise to text me, okay? I don't want to lose you again. If I'm going to be honest, it was hard, I said as he wrapped his arms around me in a tight and comforting embrace. I won't. I bet my life on it, he said as he let go and we parted ways. I flopped down on my hotel bed, grateful the memory foam molded around my aching back. Aiko and I had shopped all day and ran out of town carrying huge heavy bags all day without breaks. Even though I had a great time filled with happiness, gossip, laughing, and empty wallets, my back still killed me. Yo, Gwen, are you okay? I'm not here to lecture you, but you should have told me about your back sooner. I would have called a taxi or something for you. Anyway, do you want some Tylenol? It'll help, she said with a face of caring. Yeah, please, thanks, I said, smiling at her generosity. Alright, I'll be back now, so don't get yourself into something else that I'm gonna have to fix, she said with a joking smirk. Oh, I know, I'm such a hassle. Forgive me and bless me with your pardon, I said with a dramatic sigh and a smile tugging at my lips. As I heard her footsteps fade, I pulled out my phone and saw a notification that said I'd received a text from Yuri. Hey, what's up? Nothing much, just dying while my peasant gets my medicine. I'm supposed to be rich and have that luxury, but how do you have it before me? This is unjust. Preach, sister. Look, I'm sorry I left your life and then just started talking to you like nothing ever happened. It's fine, just don't hurt me again. Aiko's back, so I have to go, but I'll text you later. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. P.S. I'm gonna brighten your day now. Picture of a mustache cat. You're welcome. I mustache for your permission to leave. That was such a bad pun that I want you to leave now. Bye. Bye. Oh, so you're finally texting Yuri? Aiko said with an eyebrow wiggle while handing me a pill and flopping onto the bed. Yeah, I'm surprised he recognized me, to be completely honest, I said with a smile, happy about Yuri, but mainly the pain relief. Guess who'll always recognize you because they're the greatest friend ever? She asked, smirking. Yuri, I said, trying to contain my laughter, attempting to seem serious. Come on, that's not friendship, she said with a pout. Anyway, since you're such a great friend, I'm bored, so think of something to do, I said sarcastically. We could do something really stupid like in those unrealistic chick flick movies and try not to get caught, she said, desperate for ideas. I'm out of shape and clumsy. I'll definitely trip and get caught, I said, laughing. Oh, we could do more shopping. Thanks, but I don't want to break my back, I said, rolling my eyes. Well then, I'm going to watch a sad movie and eat ice cream. If you'd care to join me, you may, she said as she strutted away. I jumped off the bed and entered the living room to see a fort, prepared with ice cream and an unknown DVD case. Clearly you didn't just set this up, I said, wagging my finger. I never said I just made it, but I'm a good friend, so when I found out your back hurt, I made this fort so you'd feel better, and everyone loves food, movies, and forts, she said as she entered the fort. and I joined her. We ended up watching Marley and Me, and eventually almost emptying the tissue box on our feelings. Overall, I had a great night, but I have an even better best friend. I walked down the busy street of the unfamiliar town, excited to explore every convenience store on my own, either with Yuri or with him, if I could convince him. I anxiously walked toward the Italian-style bistro, nervously waiting how our encounter would go. I prayed that it wouldn't be awkward, it would be like old times, but I knew it most likely would be. And then I started to think. I became lost in thoughts of Yuri and Aiko, and suddenly the blurred and morphed. Suddenly, thoughts of everything in my life flashed in my head. My thoughts were overwhelming me and making me feel weak. It scared me, it stressed me out, and no one was there to help. I was alone, and it was getting dark despite the time being early afternoon. I locked my knees, not wanting to make a scene like I always do, but I eventually slumped down on a wall and breathed in and out. Anxiety sucks. Eventually, I closed my eyes, my heavy sweatshirt protecting me from the wind. I put on my hood and closed my eyes, letting darkness comfort me as there was no one else who could in the world. I felt the warmth around my shoulders and on the left side of my head, and I started to panic, not knowing what it was. My tensed muscles relaxed when I saw Yuri leaning his head against mine and his arm wrapped around my shoulders. I saw his delicate but rough features asleep and unaware as his chest heaved up and in a pattern until his eyes fluttered open. "Hey, sleepyhead, what's up?" "The sky," he said, half asleep, still managing to smirk with pride. "How did you find me?" "You're always early, and when you didn't show up at the bistro, I waited 30 minutes, expecting a text from you, but it never came. I got worried, so I scanned the streets, but eventually finding you here. I then assumed you were either really sick or you had a panic attack. So I rushed over here and gave you all the comfort I could," he said with a caring face. "Thanks, my thoughts got the best of me, I guess. I may have a moderate anxiety, but I don't suffer as much as some people," I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. I breathed steadily and asked the dreaded question, my body tensing. "Why did you leave me? I know it was to train, but I can't help wondering if it was something more. Truth is, even though Russia has prestige coaches and training programs, it was getting to me, and it couldn't be fixed by anyone, not even you. I left because of the people. Everyone was awful to me and treated me like I was shit. I thought they were at least my friends, but eventually I lost the last of my hope and trust. I wanted a new start around people who didn't know me. Eventually, I decided before I arrived in Russia, I shut myself off so no one would affect me. I eventually became a jerk. I guess I turned into the people who made me leave," he said, leaving only a silence afterward. "I'm sorry, Ryan, but no one could fix it, and there was just so much possibility in Russia," he finally concluded while staring at the cement, not wanting to see my reaction or disappointment. "I just wanted to tell you that, and I'm sorry that I'm not letting anyone get hurt, including myself." And with that, he put on a stone-cold expression, stood up, and walked away as if nothing had ever happened, leaving me shocked and numb. He entered my life again just to tell me he's protecting everyone from being hurt by leaving. I started to cry, not knowing what to feel, but I thought we could have had new beginnings. I thought we could have mended our once beautiful friendship. It hurt so much. He left me with no remorse, and now I questioned myself. Why would he leave me? Why do people leave things behind? People leave behind things they don't need anymore. He left me because he didn't need me anymore. He left me because I'm useless. I trusted him with my heart, and him only. He left me. He had a right to leave me. I'm useless, and people must leave useless things behind. There is always more than one reason why people abandon things. There must be another reason he left me. He said he wanted to leave pain. I should take his advice. I should leave pain. I should leave him. I will not make this decision. His actions will. He was the fool for letting me go. He was the cause of the pain. He was the one who decided our fate. I rose from my bed and opened the drapes, drenching my room in the sun's blinding light. I straightened my bed sheets, fluffed my pillows, and folded my comforter into a neat square at the foot of my bed. I went to my wardrobe and picked out black leggings, dark brown leather boots, and an oversized gray sweater, and a gray beanie to defend my ears from the cold. I went to the bathroom, undressed, and took a steaming hot shower, which relieved my stress and calmed my nerves. I dried off and put my new clothes on, ready to rush out of my house, and grabbed a muffin from the cabinet for a quick breakfast. I had to stop as I was exiting to go back to my room and grab my phone and keys and ran out of the door. I pulled out my phone and found Aiko's contact so I could text her, since I was impatient and she was always the first person I went to for mostly everything. Hey, Aiko, what's up? Well, I was in a peaceful slumber until the annoying noise of a ding woke me up. I always forget to mute this dang thing. You doing anything the next couple of hours? Nope, even if I did, I would clear my schedule, because unless something is wrong, you normally wouldn't text me at, oh look it, 6:47 a.m. on a weekend. Oh, I didn't realize it was that early. Yep, I'll be dressed and ready to go in 20 minutes, and depending on the place, I can probably meet you there in 30. Alright, meet me at Starbucks then. It's about 3 minutes from the hotel. Why couldn't you come and talk to me in person, since our rooms are right across the hall from each other? I wasn't thinking. I just got back to the hotel and barged into your room, so we can talk immediately. Alright, but don't expect anything fancy, since I'm going to stay in my bed in pajamas so I can sleep more after you leave. Aiko, you can't. We live in a city tour booked for 10 a.m. since it's our second day to stay here. Crap. Well, I'm still staying in my pajamas, and you still shouldn't expect anything fancy. Okay, see you in about 3 minutes. Bye, dork. I laughed and ran back to the hotel, anxious to fill Aiko in on everything. After meeting with Aiko, I decided to gain a head start on the day and leave early to find out where we were going to meet with the group tour later in the morning. My miniature phone let out an abrupt ding, causing my attention to focus on the phone and seeing a notification from YouTube. I looked up at my phone from the surroundings and I had wandered to. I saw a marble fountain with dark oak benches allowing observance of the masterpiece and the bustling city around it. I looked around trying to catch sight of any familiar street signs or restaurants when I saw a flash of blonde and black wander around the marvelous plaza. I walked in the other direction, realizing who it was. I vigorously ran to the entrance of a threatening alleyway, trying to ward the terrible thoughts that crept into my mind at the mere thought of him. Yuri. I hesitated, but decided on cutting through the dark alleyway due to the city's crimeless reputation. I soon thought otherwise of that decision when I saw a towering figure approach me. I saw an ominous flicker of light as I cautiously backed away. I felt as defenseless as prey to a ferocious predator, yet I tried not to let the overwhelming fear show through my features. I started to quicken my pace when the figure dashed rapidly toward me. I sprinted as fast as my legs could take me, and as hard as my lungs would allow, when I realized the reflection came off of a silver blade. I screamed at the top of my lungs, and when the figure finally arrived in front of me, I was face to face with a menacing glint in their eye and stillness of a predator that sent fear radiating off me. As if they could sense my fear, they sliced the blade down my right shoulder to my forearm, leaving a clean crimson wound that amplified the screech escaping my mouth. I started to slowly slip from consciousness when the blood loss was too much for my body to handle. It was then when I heard what sounded like a roar of a mighty lion and a beam like the alleyway entrance. I was pulled upward by comforting arms that effortlessly pulled me up. I tried to assist the stranger by forcing my legs to push upwards, but that only resulted in my weakened legs collapsing and falling roughly to the hard pavement. I felt reassuring arms wrap around my torso and hoist me onto a warm cushion-like surface that felt warm to the touch. I smelled the faint scent of leather as I tried to open my eyes and identify my savior. I mumbled a most likely inaudible "thank you" to my hero as they wrapped my arms firmly around their torso. I realized they had heard me when they spoke the last words I heard that day, which comforted me and lulled me into a slumber by a faint, familiar voice. "You're safe now."